Hi there, this is a presenter from a science channel. In 2016, a paper was published in the journal Nature. It described a statistical analysis of over 350 alleged sightings of the Loch Ness Monster between 1933 and 2015. But before you can monster hunt, you need to get to the Highlands, which takes a little bit of time. So let's start by figuring out where we are. But unlike a lot of famous monsters, she doesn't actually do anything. As for the famous blurry photo that everyone uses to illustrate articles about Nessie, well, we now know that it was a hoax. A guy named Christian Renberg admitted in 1972 that he made the whole thing up. He was trying to drum up tourism in the area by claiming that he saw a monster. Maybe I'll move to Scotland and finally solve this mystery. And then taking this picture of his friend's boat with a fake monster head attached to it. Sure, there are a lot of stories about her, but most of them come down to some guy being like, I totally saw a monster. Except for one guy named Kenneth, who claims that he not only saw the monster, but that it tried to mate with him. But seeing is believing, and believing is sometimes seeing. Sightings of the Loch Ness Monster often begin with people thinking they saw something unusual in the lake. For all we know, the monster could be a stationary creature that has been sitting in the same spot in the lake for centuries. It could also be a stationary creature that has been sitting in the same spot outside of the lake for centuries, like a rock monolith. That's right. Some people believe that the Loch Ness Monster isn't really a monster at all. She is a standing stone that comes to life once a year to mate with a similarly sized standing stone in the middle of the lake. They'll go back later with better equipment and try to document their sighting, only to return empty-handed. Scotland is part of the United Kingdom, which is an archipelago of islands off the northwest coast of Europe. The country is divided into 9 regions, and the Scottish Highlands are in the north. Even after that infamous photo was revealed as a fake, more people came forward saying that they had seen it. Some say that they saw it in the water, while others say that they saw it in the sky. Yep, the Loch Ness Monster may be a fish out of water, but she's also a bird, apparently. That's right. Some people believe that the Loch Ness Monster is actually a giant bird that flies around the lake, which would explain why so many people see it, and why it's always getting away. They're mountainous, and they get a lot of rain. And if you look at the right place, you'll find plenty of lakes, including Loch Ness. A study concluded that these sightings roughly follow a Poisson distribution with a possible uptick in activity in the late 1960s and early 1970s. To put that in perspective, it's about 2/3 the size of Manhattan, but a lot less dense. In fact, it's so big that it has its own subreddit. It also has a monster. In other words, the study found no statistically significant evidence for an increase in monster sightings over time, and it suggested that reports of the Loch Ness Monster are probably just the result of a few genuine sightings. Lots of people making stuff up, and a whole bunch of confirmation bias. Basically, if you go into the woods expecting to see a monster, you might just see one. Or maybe it was just a log. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement for Nessie, but some people were pretty upset about it. Not because they disagreed with the study's conclusion, but because they hadn't even read it yet. Many of them hadn't even finished high school. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that people love monsters, especially this one. This is the Loch Ness Monster, affectionately known as Nessie, and people have been claiming to see her since at least the 6th century. The modern legend says that she lives in a lake called Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. It's about 37 kilometers long, 6 kilometers wide, and up to 250 meters deep, with an area of about 21 square kilometers and a volume of about 80 million cubic meters. Like many famous monsters, Nessie is usually described as having the body of a whale or a snake and the head of a horse. So far, no one has managed to take a clear picture of the monster or collect any physical evidence that she exists. None of this has stopped people from claiming to see the Loch Ness Monster. But birds fly and fish swim, and we haven't found any evidence of either kind of movement in Loch Ness. Okay, that probably isn't what most people think of when they picture the Loch Ness Monster. But hey, you never know. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video.